everybody, come on in. I wish we could all crowd into the patio here and just talk orchids all afternoon. But this morning I started putting the orchids out in the patio. They're all out here. The house looks empty. And you'll probably see that in the next video because the next video will not have any orchids in it. But it's going to be what can really happen when you go to a garage sale video. It'll be different and a little fun. So that'll be the next one. But today we're going to talk about moving your orchids outside and what I do to meet a few of the criteria that they should have and why they like to come out in the patio. I've moved them out here almost every year that I've had them. And what do they like about it? They like the warmth of the day. Like, our house doesn't have air conditioning and it does get hot. So not as hot as here probably, but it gets very hot in there. And but what's nice about out here is there's lots of reflected light. We want to make sure next winter, this coming winter, everybody's bragging about their spikes and how many they got. And one way, and here's the ways to really ensure that it happens for you. So yes, lots of reflected light. I think Phalaenopsis can get as much light as you can give them. I'm talking daylight. So this used to be glassed in, and we had a shade cloth that used to go over the gazebo that we didn't need. And one day we thought, oh, we'll put it up on the top here because it used to get so hot here. And we're on the north side of the house here, and the peak of the house actually shades this. So we only are hot in this room for a couple hours of the day. And then it gets a nice shade. It's very cozy. Rainy days, it's nice. It's nice early in the spring. It's nice late in the fall. And there's windows all around with screens, so I can get lots of breeze. And the other important thing that they like, they like lots of reflected light, but not direct heat of the sunlight. In the winter, I have them in a west window, but we don't have the heat in the sun then, but we have the light. So it's actually really good for them that time of the year. But this time of the year, the more reflected light you can give the orchids, the better. Then they like air movement. They live in the top of trees, and they get lots of light through the dappled of leaves on the tops of the trees. They get lots of light. They live up there. Their aerial roots are hanging loose, and they're maybe in the crotch of a tree branch with a bit of bark, and maybe a little moss and some crunched up leaves, and they get their fertilizer from all the little animals and creatures that run around and do their things. So yes, they like abundance of light and they like air movement. I have noticed that we put 2 ceiling fans in the house. I noticed a big difference. Watering day, I always put it on. When I wash my floors, I always put it on. The floors dry quicker, so if you can't get your husband to get a ceiling fan, say, you know, when I wash these floors, they stay wet a long time. I think we need a ceiling fan. It works. Anyway, so you need fan, and then you need humidity. You need a good medium that is going to drain and let air get in too. And now I use just bark. And when I first started with orchids, I bought the bagged orchid mix from the store with everything in it, and they did good. And if you're not having a lot of orchids, that's fine. but I ended up having to screen it and take out a lot of stuff. And then I went to bark and I started putting other things in like charcoal and different things for moisture. And in the end, I found they're happy just with bark. You're supplying any extra, the watering schedule. It's so good. We're not just relying on a commercially made fertilizer. We're using tea and seaweed extract on different days. Lots of nitrogen being given there because this is the time of the year you want to boost their nitrogens. And we're just talking about Phalaenopsis here. You want to boost their nitrogen to give them lots of growth, and it will help them do their process of what they have to do with the sugars and storing energy for flowers next year. So the other thing is cool nights. If you're in air conditioning and your room temperature never changes, that is a little difficult for orchids. They like that warm in the day and then cool down. And if you've just got a few and you have air conditioning, you could maybe move them to an area that's warmer in the day and then back at night. They'd get the cooling then. So you have to sort of get creative. If you've got a patio and they sell these little screened in type greenhouses. They're not expensive and they're not real big, but if you have a small patio and just a few orchids, you can put some shade cloth over the top, a little fan in there. The humidity would stay good in there. You can have the little door open or closed. And it also helps with bugs. You don't want, here, if I put my orchids right outside, something will eat them. It is guaranteed. I've had it happen and I learned my lessons. So when it pours with rain, which we still have not had, we were supposed to have a big thunderstorm today. We were supposed to have rain. It has not come. But I would just run them outside and put as many as I could and just let it rain down on them, and then bring them in. And I will be doing that, and I'll film it if I do it. So that's the other thing. And now I want to show you what I've done over here to supply the orchids for the rest of the summer till fall. So it's fun to be creative. Being creative adds some joy to your life. So pick an orchid. You know what? If you got too many orchids, pick one that's and make some kind of a creative gift arrangement in a basket. You could even put 2 or 3 in. And just a little note of instructions on how to look after it. And you could give it to a friend or down to the seniors' home. You don't have to be young to have this hobby, as long as you don't get carried away like some of us do. But it's a beautiful hobby. You know, they often say during the orchid's resting period, I don't think Phalaenopsis rest. I think they're always doing something. I bring mine in for the supposed winter rest period, and you're watching growth. You're watching spikes starting to come, and yeah, I don't think they rest. I think they're always doing something. So I think orchids help teach you to enjoy life, as long as we don't get burdened down with them, because we have to consider our age and our capabilities. So they do make wonderful gifts, and then you can keep ones that are special to you because you've been growing orchids longer. You find more of an interest in what type you want and how you look after them and how you want to display them. So anyway, I am going to quickly show you over here and how I'm supplying the things they need for the rest of the summer. And it gets hot here, very hot. 3 months, no rain. But at night, you see, I debated because it still sometimes goes to the mid-50s here at night. So I decided we'll just lock the patio door and leave these doors open if it's a night that's going to be cooler, and then they won't get too cool because they love that cool down. They love to get all warm, and then at night when they're doing their thing, they like a cool down. It's just something I did. And then we got a quick repot to do, so I better get busy. Okay, so as you know, I had this table in the middle, and I like the dendrobiums to get lots of light. And I thought, well, this one's still way too big for the shelving. And I wanted to put it here. Now, the flowers don't last as long in the heat, but this is the one that was my orchid that I put in. And it never lost any flower. It's still good. But it's been in bloom since the beginning of January. And of course, then there's the one we bought. And yeah, I can tell by the tags here. There's 2 branches here and this one. And so none fell off. There might be one looking limpy, but nothing fell off in that. And they got really beaten up. Okay, and down here for humidity, I have those charcoals they sell for barbecue in here because they do help hold moisture. And I put water under almost all the plants as long as their feet are above the water, and his little green feet are above the water on bricks. Then it's going to get some humidity from there too. Now the dendrobiums are just in their pot, and I probably will mist every morning. And I also ran one of my misters into the center. So that will also help. So this is just this table. And any you see in flower have been that way since December. This is just crazy. So this is the one that had a whole spike, then got another spike. So, and it is over water. There's water in this container. There is water under here, and it's sitting on it, so it gets some humidity, and also from the fountain, and also from a mister, which I've just threw a mister into that container. So every big bowl, I use water. And of course, here we have the fountain I made, and these hold humidity. They hold humidity pretty good too. So this is all adding humidity to the air. And everything is sitting on something getting water. And there's another mister back here. And there's a mister there. And then the big one I did in the red pot, I squeezed them in here, but never lost any flowers. Now, these are in a little more shade on this side than the table, but they're still all in shade. They're not going to get any direct sun. And even this is a bowl turned up with another one upside down with water. So lots of creative ways to add a little humidity to your air. So, and of course this is the big lip that it wanted to flower, and I cut it off in December. I didn't think it looked ready. Well, it said it's ready, so I'm letting it do its thing. That's my big lip I got a year ago on Valentine's Day, so it wants to do its thing. So, okay, now we're going to go back to the table, and we're going to do a repot here. I'm just going to set it up. Don't wiggle too much. And I'm going to point it down so you can see what I'm doing. I think that should do it. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, here I am. I can't really tell how good a job I'm doing because it's so sunny. So what I've got here is my oldest orchid. I almost lost her, and some people have followed along what I was doing. So what I did was, her long monopodial stem was so long, the bottom had nothing growing out of it. It wouldn't even fit in a traffic cone anymore. So I had to get, but what happens is, it is too small for this pot. It's sending out little aerial roots that I'm going to try to still put outside the pot, but it needs a bigger pot. It has recovered a lot, but you don't want, oh boy. You want to know why I said oh boy? It has recovered a lot. Now it's not stuck to the outside of the pot. It's, I'm going to push those in the hole. That one in the hole. And this one. I'm going to try and get the, oops. That wasn't good. That wasn't good, you guys. Oop, that's not good either. I think I'll just have to do it as it comes out. And I'll just get my hands down here and see if I can, if it's stuck or what's going on down there. Okay, it's trying to slowly come. You have to sort of be very gentle because you have to kind of feel what's happening without breaking any. My big hands. Okay, try this. Okay, this side is something stuck here. There's always a little something, isn't there? And I didn't, watering day's tomorrow, and I didn't water it. It's in a small pot. Halfway through on Sunday, I gave all the orchids a little bit of water because of our dryness here. So I'm just trying to get in here and loosen them. Why I chose now is the growing season, of course. So it's going to go in a new pot. Oh dear, that one cracked, but it still might be okay. What's down here? Considering the state it was in, it's got some nice roots here if I can get them out. Okay, I gotta go get a little knife. Hold on a sec. I've never had, every once in a while, but I have read, you know, that you can get a little knife and go down the edge. Oh, how are we doing? Oh, there's just, wow, there is, see if you can get in here. Down at the very bottom, way down in there. I'm just going between the pot. And there's one more. That one's going to be a little harder. We almost got it. Sometimes you can kind of slide them sideways. Yep, there we go. I think we broke loose. We'll get these ones in. Might be a little hard trying to get the ones that were out, but I will know if I had watered it, I'd have a hard trouble telling the, so I'm going to show you both ends. Here's where I cut it off, and it did dry up quite nicely. And it shrunk a bit. And then over here in this pot is the one I cut off. And they've shrunk a little bit because yes, they were much longer. but the baby did not have any leaf at all. There was no green on this, and I wanted to see if I could get something to grow. And it's been very slow, so I have some plans for this one because it's trying. But first we'll get this one in a pot. So we're going to put it in a nice pot, and I'm going to put a little bit of bark on the bottom. Before I throw this. Sometimes you get one and you just have to struggle with it. So there's one that I know was out, and I'm going to let it go out. And I can tell by the color of them because I haven't watered them or they'd all be green. And that one can go out. And what else have we got here? Oh, here's another one. This one needs to go out. Some of them are growing. Okay, let me see. I think we've done good. So nothing was rotten, and I want to show you. Now I'm going to file the bark in there, and I've got the ones that look like they were out. One of the original long roots is in. I'll try and get it near the top. So this is my kind of work table out here, and one day we were driving down the road, and someone had these glass shower doors out on the street, free. But they're great if you ever see one and you need something to cover a table. It's been great for covering and protecting the table. It's on this side. So we have used them. Sometimes people might think something's drunk and it's not. Okay, that one's going to go out there. There, because it was out. Do you know, 3 months of no rain and we have mosquitoes. And so help me, I hate mosquitoes. They love me and they love Jack too, not just me. Maggie doesn't like them because she's seen us run from them. So she didn't like it either. So this is the last repot, you guys. So it was the last one I knew that had to be done. And I kind of didn't want to go ahead and do it because you need to see all of the ones that are struggling and the ones that aren't. And it'll find its little spot over with the rest of the orchids. So basically that one's in. And I'm going to just put it here for now, because I always come back when I have more time and touch it up. Now this one, it's pretty sad. And you know what, the fountain over there, this is still really hard, and I'd love to cut it right off of this because this is the bottom and it's dried up a lot, but there's no roots on it. There's these that are helping keep it alive. These are the only reason that it decided to have leaves. So there was not any greenery on this. So I am going to lay this on the moss on the fountain over here. And I'll show you when I pick it up because I also want to take you outside for a minute. So I'm just going to go over here and then I'll come and get you. It'll get misted. Okay, I can place it better after because, you know, if you guys were here, you'd be helping me. Okay, let's have a look over here. Okay, what I'm going to do is make a nice little spot for it on this level, not this level. It might get too wet down there, but I'm going to make a spot for it. We'll see if we get anything else growing out of that stem and get something happening here. So that's my one that's very sad. The other real sad one I've got is in the back there. The first one is coming good. There's lots of good root growth, but the back one I'm worried about. But I've been leaving it. I'm being patient. So let's go outside. for a minute. Ooh. I want to show you how early peonies look when the flowers are gone. Lots of candy tuft. So they're just little bushy. This is how they look, and they will look like that till fall when they will die off and you have to clean them up. So I'll show you we could get thunder. We always think we will, but I don't know. Hasn't happened. Oh, I'll let you see the garden before we go out. So I have been busy, besides what I'm going to show you in the next video. But here's the garlic. And I have cabbage. I even have a little white cabbage butterfly on it. Cucumbers. And I've planted the tomatoes. And I've planted beets. Beets are up. And potatoes are starting to come up. And way in the back I have onions and carrots. So I'm going to say bye for now. And we'll see you soon. Bye.